everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. First off, a massive apology for having been gone for so long. I didn't quite intend to take basically an entire month off, but I was away for a couple of weeks, and then sadly one of my grandparents passed away, and I just kind of wanted to take a little bit more time. But we are back, and today it's a little bit of an impromptu, a little bit off the cuff, I suppose, because I was just like, oh, to be honest, all I want to do is have a really good little, like, solid back to the basics practice session, because one of the reasons that I was away was that I was playing at this conference. It's a youth conference, and just amazing, so much fun, one of the best weeks ever. But it was a lot of playing, which obviously I haven't been doing for a long time. And I mean, whilst it is amazing to be back working, no one can deny that, it's just, you know, getting the body back used to that amount of playing and that amount of effort. And also I've been doing a lot of weddings, which again, wonderful, not complaining at all. But, you know, you're often, you start reading, you're kind of doing all these things, and often you're sat in a chair that isn't quite right. And it's just, you know, technique can suffer a little bit. And the last wedding I did, I just felt so tight, and just, you know, a lot of the work that I've done over the past year and a bit on getting my technique really solid, it just kind of felt like it was slipping a little bit. So I was like, I just need to do long notes and scales and vibrato exercises and stretching and just all of the things that I do when I feel like I'm in a little bit of a playing funk. Generally speaking, it's not a musical issue, it's generally my muscles just feel a bit tight, or just something feels a little bit off, and I need to get to the bottom of what it is. So I figured, why not film it? Because these are the kinds of things that you never see people doing, because they don't really want you to see. Part of me is actually really quite nervous about filming this and putting it out there, because this is quite raw, quite vulnerable in a lot of ways, because so many times in the music industry, you know, we don't want to admit that we're human and actually, you know, have to practice things. I mean, you know, the mind is blown, and we don't want to put that out there because we want people to think that we're at this really top level all of the time, and it's just not the case. Super rambly intro over, but if you will, you know, enjoy seeing this kind of thing and you want to see more of this, I can't say I'm like super happy to film it and put it up, but I think it's important, so I absolutely will do it if you guys would like to see it and find it helpful. Enjoy me trying to get a little bit of my playing mojo back.
Okay, so these are a series of stretches that I always start any practice I do with. We don't stretch nearly enough as musicians, and it's something we really need to do. So these are a selection of stretches that I learned from an amazing organisation called BAPAM, and they're the British Association for Performing Arts and Music, and they are basically a set of medical professionals who work specifically with musicians. So, you know, we're tricky beasts and we don't like to take time off, so it's amazing to talk to somebody who has, you know, real training and experience in dealing with us picky musicians. So this is one of my absolute favorite stretches. It's called carrying the plates and smashing the plates for obvious reasons. And this is something that I find phenomenally useful because I have a tendency to develop tendonitis in my wrists and my forearms. And this is something that I find a really great preventative measure. So yeah, I'll have BAPAM linked down below so that you can access all of these stretches. Okay, so this is, you know, the most exciting thing you will see all day, can guarantee. It's just long notes. This is something, again, that I always do as the first thing whenever I pick up my instrument. Normally it just kind of settles me down, gets me thinking, it just gets me in the mind frame, the appropriate mind frame, and just in the zone. Now, normally I would be really focusing on dropping that right shoulder. You can see that as I do an up bow, my right shoulder lifts. Shouldn't be doing that. It should be sat nice and low in its socket. So that's something that has, you know, come about, that tension in the shoulder from, not enough technical work over the last few weeks, and just playing with potentially less than perfect technique when I have been playing. So yeah, something that I need to work on, but equally a good thing to notice at this point in time. Okay, so I nearly didn't leave that in. I nearly edited it out because I didn't want to admit that I couldn't put a first finger down in tune. But just trying to, trying to keep it honest here. And the first finger on any string is just the note that I find the hardest to get in tune on. It sort of always has been, which, fully admitting that's not really good enough. I need to work on it a lot more. I'm not 100% sure why, whether it's just my hand position isn't strong enough or what, but it's just a note that I find really difficult. So again, that's why I'm practicing it. I shouldn't be doing any vibrato at this point either. I will fully flag that one. But yeah, again, this is just a symptom of being tight and not really, maybe my focus was a little bit off, probably because I'm hyper aware that I'm being filmed. Happens to the best of us. Not that I'm the best, just to clarify. And then just into a nice simple scale. I'm just doing C major here because again, we really go back to basics here. There are a couple of things that I'm noticing about my technique that I would like to improve in the days and weeks, months moving forward from this. And one of those things is that if you look at my right hand, I'm holding the bow like a violinist. Nothing against that, no shade to violinists, you guys are amazing. But this is a viola, and you can hear I'm just playing really on the surface of the strings. I need to be playing through them. I need to be sinking in and really drawing that sound out of my instrument. And then the other thing I'm doing is that there is a slight flex in my left wrist out towards the scroll. Now, this is something which this irritates me more than anything about my playing, because this just puts a load of tension down my tendons, which is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. But here we go. So it's from years of not wanting to collapse my wrist inwards. I decided that the alternative was pushing it out, and that was much better apparently. So yeah, this is a really good flag to me that something, that I've let this slip. So it was something that I'd improved a lot over the last sort of year or so, and this is just, good to know that it isn't bomb-proof yet. And now just adding in the element of open strings just to help with the tuning. Again, just getting everything really honed in and working as best it can. This is normally something which again would encourage me to drop my right shoulder and my elbow and get my hands softer and really focus on the sound, which I'm not doing very well here. I will admit that. So I stopped doing vibrato, Heather. I'm determined, aren't I? I'm like, meh, it doesn't sound very nice. Yeah, it doesn't sound very nice because you've got your shoulder up behind your ear, you idiot. Benefit of hindsight, hey? Now this is one of my all-time favorite exercises. I find it so helpful just to get things moving, get my hand shape in a little bit more. And I mean, I should be keeping more fingers down as I do this. I'm lifting them all up individually, which again is actually not the best way of doing this. So if you yourself do this exercise, try and keep at least, your first finger down while you put down the third, second finger down when you're putting down the fourth, that kind of thing. It'll just help get you, get your hand much more solid and in its shape much more effectively and much quicker. You can see that I'm starting to loosen up a little bit here, which is good. And again, adding in the open strings for that added tuning help, and also just, getting everything, in theory, sinking in a little bit better. Now, I would always normally do arpeggios here. I think I actually went onto arpeggios a little bit too soon. For this particular practice session, I should have stuck with, even more of the basics than... but I wanted to show you what my normal routine would have been like. But yes, had I not been filming this, I probably would have done an octave or two of arpeggios and then realised that today was not the day. Okay, this is one of my absolute favorite exercises for really getting those fingers fired up, moving, and again, the tendons nice and warmed up. Now, obviously, I'm not actually playing very quickly here. Normally, I would do it about this pace and then a second time round, pretty much as fast as I possibly could. I was very aware at this point that things, were going to take longer to loosen off than I particularly had on this day. So I kept things a little bit slower just so that I didn't overdo it and strain anything. But on this one, you want to be really focusing on picking up the fingers as well as placing them down. I actually wasn't at this point, to be honest. I was losing concentration a little bit. As you can see, I keep looking at camera and being like, how long have I been doing this? And yeah, so when you do this exercise, really focus on the speed of the fingers and the energy that you're picking them up with, as well as that you're putting them down with. Yeah. Now, I'm actually not really going to leave in very much of the vibrato section of my practice, just because I have a whole video on how I do my vibrato and how I practice it, and it's much more in depth and much more helpful. So I will leave that linked up in the top right hand corner. So go and check that out if vibrato is something that you would either like a little bit of help with, or a different opinion, or just, yeah, a little bit of a bit more, yeah, explanation. This little exercise is fabulous if you struggle with the coordination between your right and left hand fingers. This is an absolutely brilliant one.
And there you have it. That's kind of my get myself kind of back in the zone, get myself listening to what I'm doing, feeling what I'm doing, kind of a routine. Like I said, it's very, very raw, very real. This is me after a good month away from any focused practice, and that's not ideal. Okay, I would never normally do that, but like I said, it's been a bit of an up and down a few weeks, so being kind to myself, not beating myself up about it too much, but still acknowledging the fact that I need to put some groundwork in to get myself back to a really, really good place of playing. So I hope that this was really useful for you. Please do be kind. Like I said, it's a little bit scary putting this out there. But if this has been useful, then please do let me know, and I will make more videos along these kinds of lines. Actually, what do I do when I'm practicing, when I'm preparing for things, all that kind of stuff, if that's something that would be of use to you. So yeah, please do subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more from me. Like this video if you've liked it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.